What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So, MLB Preview today. I'm going to preview, give you my predictions for each division, how I think each team's going to do this year. Then I will give you my playoff predictions, and I'll give you my World Series predictions. So, let's jump right in. I'm going to start on the National League side of things. With the National League East, I think the Mets do come out of the East this year. Not to be biased, as you can see, I have my Mets jersey, and this is a Pete Alonso jersey. I'll be wearing my One Soul jersey on Thursday. I'll be doing a show Thursday most likely because I'll be watching Mets opening day. And I usually don't do shows on Thursday. Anyway. But Mets just, I think, look really good this year. Obviously, the big addition is obviously being Juan Soto. You gave him a obviously insanely huge contract. He's one of the best players in the entire league. You re-signed Pete Alonso as well. You're able to get that done on a very team-friendly contract. It's 2 years, $54 million. He'll get $26 million a year. He can opt out after the year if he so chooses. You brought back Jesse Winker as well. On the pitching side of things, you add Clay Holmes. You're going to make him a starter. He looks sharp in spring training. For what it's worth to your bullpen, you add AJ Minter to your bullpen. He's been with the Braves for a very long time. Has been a very good left-handed reliever. That's someone you add. You bring back Ryan Stanek, who was really good down the stretch for the Mets. You got some young relievers over there. Their pitching is a little concerning to start. Sean Manaea is hurt right now, as is Frankie Montas, who's another piece that you bring in the offseason, another veteran starting pitcher. But I think they'll be okay. I would like to see them probably add one more starting pitcher before the maybe like the trade deadline, something like that. That's something I would like to see them do. But I think they'll be okay. Kodai Senga, if he's healthy, obviously missed pretty much all of last year with injuries. Maybe just one start in the regular season. Did come back for the playoffs briefly. But he's a really good pitcher. Dave Peterson had a break of the year last year. Holmes looks strong in spring training. David Stearns, the Mets president of baseball operations, he does not like to pay for pitching. He did the same thing in Milwaukee when he was in the same role over there. He does not like to pay for pitching. I mean, he gave Singh, I think, $5 for $75 million. I'm trying to think, was he even running the show then? I'm not even sure if he was. Yeah, he took over last year, so I don't know. Yeah, he didn't even pay Senga, technically. So you saw last year they took a chance on Luis Severino, who's a guy who was once, a top line pitcher for the Yankees. A lot of arm issues has caused him to kind of fall off the face of the earth. They took a shot on him with a 1-year deal, and he went out and had a really good season. Sean Manaea is the guy who came up in Oakland with the Athletics and was very good. Then he's bounced around. Who, had some injuries and had been inconsistent. They took a chance of him on a 2-year deal with the opt out, and he ends up having a breakout year last year. They ended up bringing him back. The whole year like, this rotation gonna hold up. He had Quintana there last year, and it ended up holding up. It ended up being a very solid rotation. So you're kind of doing the same thing this year. Now you bring back Sean Manaea, and you bring in Clay Holmes. You just have to make him a starter. So you bring in Frankie Montas, who's a guy who can eat some innings. So you're not gonna have, you're not gonna have, you're not gonna be paying crazy money for a lot of these guys. But I think that's a formula now. These pitchers, they throw so many innings, their arms get tired. Everyone wants to throw 90, 100 miles per hour. They blow up their arm by the time they're 30 years old. Don't overpay for pitching. Obviously, if you want to give a guy like a Juan Soto like a 15-year deal, 15 years is crazy. If you're not Juan Soto, I'm not sure if anyone's even sniffing 15 years. We'll see what happens with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. if he gets extended by the Blue Jays, or if it ends up being an all-season thing and for agency for him. But Soto's the guy who's a generational talent on the offensive side of things, and he's only 26 years old. Obviously, if Juan Soto was 30 years old, he would not have gotten a 15-year deal. That's ridiculous. He may have gotten like a 10-year deal. He's that kind of player. Usually when guys 30, you don't want to give him more than probably 6 or 7 years, if that. But a guy like Soto, you go above and beyond for because of the kind of player he is, obviously. But with pitching, I don't think it's a good idea to give out these 5, 6, 7, 8-year deals for $180, $200+ million. A lot like the Yankees had Max Fried for 8 years and $200 million, whatever it was. Maybe the next couple of years that he might be able to help them in the front from part of the rotation, but down the line, that back half of that deal is going to be ugly. Again, no salary cap in baseball. The Yankees have as much money as anybody really in any sport, and and their window is probably about their 3 or 4 years, and if that. So I get why you did that. You're trying to get, the front part of his deal is really your window. So I get why. But at the same time, like that deal, even the Soto, if Soto sits in the Mets for 15 years, the last 5 years of that isn't going to be pretty. But that's still a decade away. We're worried about right now, not in 10 years. No team is can plan for 10 years down the line. Think about it, a kid that you're drafting, to play in 10 years. If he's getting drafted at 21 right now, in like the 6th grade, so you can't do that. So. But getting back on track, I think they will be fun. They have a lot of depth. You have, looks like Tyler McGill and Paul Blackburn will be in the rotation to start the season. McGill has never really been great. We thought when he first came up, he had a chance to be very good. Hasn't really worked out, but got a little better last year. He's a fine, he's a serviceable 5th starter, fine fill-in starter, like 5th, 6th starter. Paul Blackburn was actually pitching pretty well before he got hurt last year. If he's healthy, he's a solid 4 for 5th starter. You also have Griffin Canning on the team. He's a guy who didn't pitch well last year, but with the Angels, but has shown the ability in the past to be a decent innings eater. A couple of years ago, had a solid season. I think he will pitch better for the Mets in a better environment and in a better ballpark to pitch in. When they get Montas back, I know he's a guy who the last couple of years hasn't been great since he got hurt with the A's and the Yankees, but a few years ago was a really good starting pitcher. He's pitched in a lot of hitter-friendly parks in Oakland and Cincinnati. I think going to a pitcher-friendly park at Citi Field, pitching the majority of his games there will help. And just I think he will be a little better, although despite over the last 2 years not being great. So, to me, they have 7 other guys that can start. Plus, once you get healthy, a rotation of Senga, Pearson, Manaya, Montas, and Holmes, especially if Clay Holmes goes out there and pitches decently, that's actually a solid rotation, and they're going to score a lot of runs. I get McNeil is out right now, as is Alvarez, but still, the first 5 I want is Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, and Vientos. I get Nimmo didn't have his best year last year, but he still has some power. And this is a guy in the past has been the guy that hits 290 with a 360 on base. Last year didn't have his best year offensively, but also he's a great outfitter as well. And Vientos had a great year last year. I think that guy's only going to get better. Winker and Marte's a solid platoon. Marte was hurt a little bit last year, and his defense kind of fell off, but he is still a good hitter. Winker had a good year at the plate last year. And then, for right now, your back 3 is either Acuna and Beatty platooning at second. Look, Brett Beatty, he's a quadruple A guy. The recycle is he goes off in spring training. Everyone's like, oh my God, he's Brett Beatty. Then he makes the team. Everyone's so excited. He's starting in April, and then he goes out there and hits 180 and doesn't play any defense. You send him down. He does great in a moment. He comes back up, and it's a cycle. This is probably his last chance this season, I would think. He is still very young. You never know. He was a very high draft pick. I liked him coming up. He kind of rose through the Mets system pretty quickly, but obviously it has not worked out so far. Luis Angel Acuna, he was the top prospect they got for Scherzer 2 years ago. He played down the stretch last year. Overall, looked very good, actually. I think he's going to be a really good player. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing him this year. You never know. Maybe first couple weeks he takes a starting role and hits really well. Maybe when McNeil comes back, they still play Acuna. You never know what happens. Torrens is a fine backup catcher. He's a solid player. Played very well for the Mets down the stretch last year. And serious guy that you make a trade for. Not gonna hit for any average, but he's got some power, and he's got a good speed. Very good outfielder. He's got some flair to him too. I can see why teams that play against him don't like him. Not gonna lie, it's kind of similar thing with Jesse Winker. In fact, a lot of Mets fans didn't even like him before the trade. Because he used to kind of play the games with them in the outfield. They didn't like it. And then he comes to the team. It's like, oh, this guy's actually a really good player. He just that he's one of those guys when he plays for your team, you love him. He's the man. When he's not on your team, you want to punch him in the face. That kind of guy. And I think their bullpen's fine. Diaz is a very good closer. Not sure if he'll ever touch what he did 2 years ago, but he was overall good last year. He had some struggles early on, but then kind of right the ship in the back half of the year. You have Jose Buto had a really good year out of the bullpen last year. Minter was a nice add. Reed Garrett is solid. Stanix is a guy is pretty good. Young's a fine second lefty. Max Crank has looked really good in spring training. I think he's got good. I think he could be a solid reliever. And then right now, Griffin Canning's probably your long guy, and he might see some start throughout the year depending on injuries. He's a fine swing now. I think their bullpen's decent. Their pitching isn't phenomenal, but I think it's good enough. They're going to score a lot of runs. The lineup at full strength is Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo, Vientos, Winker, and Marte, depending on matchups. McNeil, Alvarez, and Siri. That's a phenomenal lineup. And I think your rotation is very solid at full strength, and the bullpen is pretty good too. So, and I like Carlos Mendoza as a manager. I think he's a very good manager. I thought he was a manager of the year last year. So at full strength, this team is phenomenal. They have very good depth, and I think you're going to see Manaea before the end of the first month. You'll see Monta at some point in May. They'll get Alvarez back, I think, at least before June. And so these guys aren't going to miss that much time. Like when McNeil got hurt, he was shut down for a month, but it's a month from when he got hurt, and he got hurt like a week or two ago. So McNeil, we're definitely going to see before the end of April for sure. So I think they will be fine. They're probably going to come out maybe a little slow, the Mets. I wouldn't be surprised if, especially that first month, I could see them the third week in May only being like 4 or 5 games over 500. People are going to be bitching on social media. Yankees fans and Braves fans and all these fans are going to be like, oh, the Mets aren't that good. And then by the time, July comes around, they're going to be rolling and, right in the thick of things in the championship picture. And I could see them being maybe looking at a traded line to continue to improve a team. I think by the time the playoffs come around, they will be at the top of the National League East division. So, Mets win the division. In second place, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies, to me, are under a lot of pressure this year. You have a few guys who are impending free agents. You have a few guys that are simply just getting older. Your window is closing. This might be the last year that you could truly go into the year being a true contender. And you've come up short quite a few times. They got to get over the hump. Look, they have a lot of talent offensively. I think their rotation is very good. With Zach Weaver's a stud. Aaron Nola's very good. Ranger Suarez. Christopher Sanchez had a breakout year last year. And you also had Jesus Luzardo. If he's healthy, he's very good. And looking at their bullpen, you bring in Jordan Romano. I like that move. He had a rough year last year. A lot of injuries. Didn't pitch well out of the gate. Then got hurt and missed a lot of time. But one of the better relievers in the American League the previous 3 seasons. I think he's a very good closer if healthy. I can see him bouncing back for sure. You do lose Jeff Hoffman, but you still have Matt Strahm, who's a really good left hand. I know he's been battling a shoulder problem in spring training. If I had to guess, he'll be back somewhat shortly after the season starts. Jose Alvarez got some really good stuff. Jose Ruiz is solid. Orion Keckering is a really good reliever. So I think they will be just fine. You still want Taiwan Walker, who had a brutal year last year, but only a couple of years ago with the Mets was very good. So, something else is fine for Duffy, even if that contract isn't aging well. He's had arm problems throughout his career as well, but this is still a good team. Obviously, you have Bryce Harper there. We all know what Harper is, and Kyle Schwarber's got a ton of power. Castellanos can't really play the field very well, but very good middle of the order guy, especially when a tragedy happens for whatever reason. Alec Boehm. We all know the thing of him. He's a little streaky, but overall he's a very good hitter. Doesn't play a ton of defense, but overall he's a good hitter. Stott's a really good second baseman. JT Realmuto is still very good. Trey Turner. You guys get the thing with them offensively. That rotation is going to give them a lot of innings too. So this is still a very good team, and I think Philadelphia is still a good team. But the thing is, if they don't win the World Series, you're probably going to lose a couple pieces in the offseason. You got guys getting older. Their window could really close if they don't win the World Series this year. So, but I think that they're a very good team now. In third in the division, I think we have Atlanta Braves. Look, I get it when they're fully healthy. The first 5 in that lineup is Acuna, we got coming back. Austin Rodriguez is stud. Matt Olson, Marcell Ozuna, and Sean Murphy. They had a ton of injuries last year. So it was definitely a down year for them last year. In the rotation, you're going to get Strider back. Having Sale, Strider, and Ronaldo Lopez at the top of that rotation is deadly. Sale, I don't know how the Braves fixed him, but they did. This guy's arm, I didn't think his arm worked anymore. And also, he went to Cy Young last year. Strider is a great pitcher. Ronaldo Lopez went back in the rotation last year and pitched great for the Braves. Even a young kid in Schwellbacher pitched well last year. Their fifth right now is Grant Holmes. We'll see where that goes. Looks like it's going to be him because they traded Ian Anderson away to the Angels. a couple days ago. Their bullpen, overall, it's pretty good. Iglesias is a good closer. You have Aaron Bummer there. Pierce Johnson's good doing leads pretty good. But the back half of that lineup worries me a little bit. They have Brian De La Cruz, who's a guy. He came up in Houston, got straight to Miami. Looked like he was going to be really good. Hasn't really put it all together. He's had moments where he's shown the ability to be very good, but overall, it's been very inconsistent. You got, Ozzie Albies, when healthy, is one of the best second basemen in the league, but he's never healthy. Harris is a good player. He was rookie of the year a couple of years ago. Since then, he's had a bunch of injuries. Garcia, who 2 years ago was an all-star, last year kind of fell off a cliff. Good shortstop, doesn't hit a whole lot. And Schoenberg's a guy coming off an injury. So you have a lot of injury concerns. I still think this is a good team. The first four that lineup is as deadly as it gets in this league. And like Schoenberg's the guy who battled injuries 2 years ago, had a phenomenal year, was the all-star starter of the National League at the catcher spot. Last year took a big step back, battled some injuries. Also, Trevor Stono, your number 2 catcher, who was a really good number 2 catcher, is no longer there. So, and then you got, I think your top prospect catcher is going to be on the roster. And we'll probably see a good amount of playing time as well. So, I don't, they got a lot of guys coming off injuries, so I don't think this is an amazing team, but this is still a good team. The Braves are going to be the Braves. That's a great organization. These last bunch of years, they've played a really good baseball. They're probably up there if you look up teams with the best winning percentages since at least like 2019. Braves are probably top 5. They haven't been able to figure out in the postseason since the World Series win to 2021, but still, a World Series only 4 years ago. It's not like they've been bad since the middle playoffs every year since then as well. It's still a very good team. I can see them getting into the postseason, and Braves are still very good, but some injury concerns and I think their depth isn't as good as it is in past years, so I have them in third in that division. In 4 or 5, the Washington Nationals. Nationals are an interesting team. They have a lot of young talent. A lot of young kids that I like. Look at that lineup. Abrams, first half of last year, he was great. He regressed in the second half of the year. He obviously had the gambling instinct where he was out till like 5 a.m., but hopefully he's put that behind him. James Wood's a really talented kid. He came out at the end of last year. He's got a really long swing. So the strikeout rate is going to be a little high for the starting score, but he's a really talented player. Devin Cruz is from a really high draft pick. Carter Ruiz is a good young catcher. You added Alman Rosario, obviously from our Met as well. He's a guy who's a good bat-to-ball guy. The back half of that lineup isn't great. Yeah, Luis Garcia and then Paul DeYoung. DeYoung's got a lot of power, just only for any average, though he is a great defender as well. Their rotation actually could be sneaky good for the Washington Nationals. Mackenzie Gore's a very good arm, only going to get better. Jake Irvin pitched very well last year. You bring back Trevor Williams, who when healthy was very good last year. I think Mitchell Parker is a very good young pitcher. They're going to see DJ Hers at some point. He's really good. Mike Soroka's a wild card. A couple years with the Braves was emerging as a stud. Then he had just a ton of injuries, have just killed his career the last 2 years. That guy can never get healthy. I think it's still there for him. Not a bad, take a shot on him as your 5th starter. And the bullpen, you figured out with Kyle Finnegan, who was a good reliever. Derek Law's pretty good. Bringing Jorge Lopez, who obviously had a weird start to his year last year with the Mets. When he threw his glove into the stand to get thrown out. Then he had the call at the end of the game. The overall actually did have a good season last year. When he's got his head screwed on straight. Plus, there was a whole thing where he didn't actually say what he said, and they didn't have a translator there for him, so it was kind of a whole mess. He's a good reliever overall. The back half of that bullpen is a little thin, which is probably going to hold them back. I do like the front part of their bullpen with Kyle Finnegan, Derek Lowe, and Jorge Lopez, but after that, it's not great. However, I think this rotation will be better than people think. They have a lot of young starting pitching, and this is exciting team. You make a trade for Nate Lau's a solid bat at first base as well, really good first baseman. So this is a Washington team. They're still in a tough division. If they're in the AL Central, I would probably have them as a playoff team. In fact, they may find a way to win that division. Because they're in a brutal division, that's gonna probably lower their ceiling. But this is a team everybody has to end at some point. I feel like they've been in it since they won the World Series back in 2019. I think they have the worst record in baseball over the last 4, 5, 6 years. But I think it's starting to come together. And Thurbolt's coming to an end. I think still a year or two away, but it's still definitely a competitive team. And last place is the Miami Marlins. That's why I have to even say why. They have no hitting. Their lineup is god-awful. I mean, there's some young guys maybe are exciting. Xavier Edwards at shortstop. Maybe Connor Norby at third. Jesus Sanders is pretty good. You'll have him off the IL very shortly. You're taking a shot at Matt Mervis at first base. You took a shot at him in the trade with the Cubs. Other than that, like Dane Myers hasn't shown a whole lot of potential. Like this lineup is really, really bad. Probably the worst from the league. I mean, maybe the White Sox is worse. Definitely the worst from the National League. That rotation, I think, is talented. Alcantara coming back is exciting. Ever Cabrera. Max Myers, a youngster we're going to see this year. You're bringing Cal Quantrill. But Senor Alcantara is not finishing the year as a Marlin. It's not going to happen. Ever since they had a change in leadership there, they've completely blown up this team. I think Alcantara is next. You saw them trade Luis Arias away in like May last year. I can see something similar with him. If he comes back and is Sandy Alcantara, the guy who was a Cy Young last time he was fully healthy, he's gonna get traded. I'd be shocked if he's a Marlin even by July, to be honest. And their bullpen, the back half, it's pretty good with Calvin Fulchier, Anthony Bender, Jesus Tinoco, but other than that, it looks really ugly. So, going to be another long year for the Marlins. Now to the NL Central. I do have the Brewers winning the division. They have a lot of young pieces in that lineup. Jackson Churro, I think, is only going to get better. Yelich, when he was healthy last year, had a resurgent year. William Contreras is really good. Hostin's got a lot of power. You got Bryce Turang. Really good second baseman. He's got some pop and is an amazing defender. You get Caleb Durbin in the Devin Williams trade. He's a talented young infield. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think their pitching is going to be good. Freddie Peralta's really good. Tobias Myers is a youngster I'm excited to see again this year. You bring in Nestor Cortez, again, you get him for Devin Williams as well. Yeah, he had a bounce back year last year. Obviously, to keep the home run to Freddie Freeman in the playoffs in the World Series, but also should never been in that game. Aaron Savoy and Aaron Ashby in the back isn't bad. Keep in mind, Brendan Woodruff, you're going to see at some point in the early part of the year. You're going to get him back sometime, I think, by the end of the spring. I would think he's an excellent starting pitcher. Did not have him last year because of a shoulder surgery. But think about a rotation of Freddie Peralta, Woodruff, Tobias Myers, Nestor Cortez, and then either Ashby or Savoy is very good. Their bullpen is really good. You got Trevor McGill closing games, Gator Brooker year last year, and then all these other pieces. Brian Hudson, Joel Pompeyes. Uribe, Cohen had a really good year last year, so I think this Brewers team is still got a ton of pitching and is got some young pieces offensively. Then you get some veterans in there like Yelich and Rhys Hoskins. Brewers every year find a way to win 87 to 93 games. They always find a way to be in that range. The Central Division is not very good. I think they come out and they win the division. To the Chicago Cubs, I have them in second place. They're a weird team. I love the Kyle Tucker about. It's a huge move for them. He's a great player, one of the league's premier players. You got Ian Happ there, who's a good player. Horner is very good. This is an exciting line with Swanson, McGill, and Maya. We'll see what we get. Pete Crow Armstrong, Matt Shaw as well. The rotation, they have an interesting rotation. I like Shoto and Monaga. He was very good last year after coming over from, where is he from? I believe Japan. And Tyone's really good steal, so the first three in the rotation I think is very good. The back half of that rotation really works me with Matthew Boyd and Colin Rea. Boyd pitched well last year down the stretch in Cleveland, but had so many injuries in recent years. Colin Rea was pretty good last year, see if he can do it again. They kind of overhauled their bullpen. You make a trade for Ryan Presley. He's a very good reliever. He's going to close for them. You bring in Eli Morgan, who's a good addition. Brazier. He's very inconsistent year to year. He'll have some years where he's untouchable, some years where he's god-awful. So what are you getting out of him? You bring in Tanner Pearson for some length. Flexen's a guy that's kind of falling off a cliff. So you have a youngster in Ben Brown. What are you doing with him? So, I think if Matt Shaw and Pete Crow Armstrong, two of their top prospects, come up this year and make an impact early on, I think that this Cubs team actually is really talented and could be a dangerous team. If not, it really shortens their lineup a little bit. But and back half the rotation, like I said, is kind of concerning. Their new league bullpen, I'm not sure if I love it. So I have them finishing in second place. And third is the Cincinnati Reds. Okay, the Reds are really exciting. I got a lot of people saying that they could be a breakout team, a sleeper team. And I see why. I don't think it's the year. I think next year is their year. They have a ton of young offensive talent. don't get me started with Edwin De La Cruz. That guy's amazing. Stevenson's a great offensive catcher. Guys like Spencer Steer and this kid Arcanis, strength the first base. I think it's going to be really good. You get Matt McClain back this year, which will help. The rotation, Hunter Green had a great year last year. I think Nick Lodolo finally puts it together this year. You bring in Brady Singer, you get him in the trade for Jonathan India. That's a nice arm to pick up. Nick Martinez is a guy that can give you some innings. Their bullpen is kind of what concerns me. Their closer Alexis Diaz had a bit of a regression last year. He's got some arm problems right now, so he's probably going to start the season on the IL. I don't think he'll be out for too long, thankfully. But their bullpen is a little bit worrisome for me. I think the Reds, I still think they're a year where, like I said, a lot of young pieces over there. They're a young team that is definitely very talented. Like I said, getting guys like Matt McClain back is going to help. But I think the Reds are still a year away. In last place, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates. And a lot of people kind of think Pirates kind of the same boat as the Reds, where they're finally starting to make some progress. I think the Pirates are doing some nice things. O'Neal Cruz is a great young player. He's obviously a great athlete. They're moving him to center field full time. You bring back Andrew McCutcheon, who's still serviceable. Yeah, Brian Round is great. Brian Hayes. Tommy Pham's a vet that you bring in. Spencer Horwitz, I like you trading for him. He's going to show the ability to have a lot of power. Their rotation looks really good, especially that first row of Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, and Jared Jones. Skeens is just ridiculous. Mitch Keller is really good. Jared Jones, I know he's having some elbow problems, but once he gets healthy, he's very good. You bring in Andrew Heaney, who's a solid innings eater. Again, I still think this team is a couple of years away. I wish their ownership was a little more willing for sure, but the ninth inning is kind of jumbled around. You have Kyle Holderman there, who's very good. Bednar struggled last year, hasn't looked great in spring, so we're not sure who the closer is right now. You got Holderman there, who's very good, and then you have some other pieces like Joey Wentz, is a former top prospect. Maybe he can give you some innings. Meza, the rest of their bullpen looks kind of eh. And like I said, they have some young pieces there for sure. You're taking a shot on Joey Barner, a failed former top pick, but I still think this team is probably like 2 or 3 years away. And also, it's the Pirates. They don't spend a whole lot of money either. But National League West, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The Dodgers are going to win. This is a low division. I'll get to that in a minute. But the Dodgers, this is what their lineups looking like. Mookie Betts, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Ohtani, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Michael Conforto, Tommy Edman. That's the first 8. And then Chris Taylor is like the 9th place hitter. Betts is a superstar. Freddie Freeman's a superstar. Obviously, Ohtani's the face of the league. Teoscar Hernandez, you bring back, is really good. Muncy's got a lot of power. You bring in Michael Conforto's not a bad left-handed bat to have. Edman played really well down the stretch last year for them. And the rotation's ridiculous. Even with Ohtani not starting, you have Snell, who you bring in, who's really good. Obviously, you get the deal. I'm not going to go super deep into games. Can be a little freaky, but when he's on, he's amazing. You bring in Roki Sasaki, who's looking like he's going to be really good. Yamamoto's great. Glasnow, a lot of injuries, but when he's healthy, he's great. Kershaw is still a really good pitcher again when he's healthy. So the rotation does have a lot of injury concerns, but they're like 9 guys deep. You got Dustin May coming back. You have some young kids like Bobby Miller and Sheehan. Still working things out. You're going to get Ohtani back into the rotation. He's obviously an ace as well. So as many injury concerns as they have, they're just so deep. Their depth is historically great that they'll be okay as long as they have 4 or 5 of these guys healthy by October, which is it's almost hard not to. I mean, last year they really only had Yamamoto, who missed a lot of time last year. The guys that are healthy, like Yamamoto and Flaherty. Outside of that, you were basically doing bullpen games, and then Walker Buehler, who didn't look good in the regular season, to come back from Tommy John as a rotation, and you won a World Series. So now that you add Blake Snell, you add Roki Sasaki, Ohtani is going to pitch. You get contributions from a guy like Dustin May, who you finally get back. If you can get anything out of Clayton Kershaw and Tyler Glasnow, and this team is as stacked as it gets. It's a great organization, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're back in the World Series. San Diego Padres, this is still a very good team. That lineup is really good. You have Luis Arias, who's a two-time former batting champion. Crohn's is really good. Obviously, you have Tatis, who's a great player. Machado's still really good. Bogart's kind of regressed, but he's still a good player. A couple sounds that you didn't catch that you have. Jackson Merrill was a Rookie of the Year guy last year. Their rotation is extremely talented. I know Joe Musgrove probably isn't going to pitch this year with Tommy John, but still. Dylan Cease, a stud. Michael King in their breakout year last year. You got Yu Darvish, who's really good. You bring in Nick Pivetta, who's a decent innings eater. So that rotation is really, really deep still. Their bullpen is pretty good. They have this is still a good ball club who was a good team last year. You were in the playoffs. I thought they shot to beat the Dodgers. You went up 2-1, then your offense couldn't get anything going in those last two games. You got some young pitchers there, like a guy like Randy Vasquez, who could make an impact. In your bullpen, Robert Suarez is really good as a closer. You also have Jason Adam there, Yuki Matsui there. Wendy Peralta's pretty good. So this is still a good team. And then I'm gonna have them in second place. In third place is Arizona. Arizona's a team, if they started out a little bit better, started off so bad, they would have easily been in the playoffs. I thought they were going to go back to the World Series last year. Obviously, didn't happen. If they didn't start off so bad, they would have easily been in the playoffs. This is a really good team. Offensively, you add Josh Naylor, who's a really good power-hitting first baseman, really good hitter. Randall Grichuk's still a really good hitter. You bring him back. You have Ketel Marte, who's great. Suarez is a nice power bat. I think Gabriel Moreno will be a little bit better. Corbin Carroll, who was a freak as a rookie, bit of a step back last year. I think he will play a little bit better. Really good young lineup. The rotation is disgusting. You're bringing Corbin Burns, who's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, from more Cy Young guy. Gallen's a stud. Remember, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Brendan Pfaadt. One of the best rotations in all of baseball. The bullpen, you could argue, is a little bit to be desired, for sure. Especially since you thought maybe you'd have Jordan Montgomery as a low man, who just announced he's going to have Tommy John surgery. So he won't be available to you. But, I mean, their bullpen, I think, it's just okay. Like, their closer's probably going to be your A.J. Pook or Kevin Ginkel. Pook turned into a good reliever. I like Kevin Ginkel. You got Shelby Miller's there, I just realized. So, Ryan Nelson's pretty good. But their bullpen could use some work. But they're also going to get so many innings out of their rotation. This team is going to score a lot of runs. See, I'm not sure if this is a World Series team. This is definitely a really good team that I think should be in the playoffs. In fourth place, I have San Francisco Giants. So they did some good things. I like them bringing in Willie Adames. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be able to play shortstop, but he's a great power bat to have in the middle of your lineup. You bring in Verlander. I don't mind him on a one-year deal, I guess. But this team might be a little overmatched in this division. But you got Lamont Wade, a good hitter. You have a lot of solid hitters like Yastrzemski. But you got some young kids here. You have Tyler Fitzgerald's probably going to play second. Patrick Bailey behind the plate. I think getting Jung Ho Lee healthy will be really helpful for the Giants. That rotation, I think, looks pretty good. Logan Webb's a great pitcher. Getting Robbie Ray healthy will be helpful. I think if Hicks is healthy, he can be pretty good. Kyle Harrison's a talented young arm, but I think they're just a little bit overmatched. Matt Chapman's obviously a great player. Give him a big extension at the end of last year. You're relying on a lot of bounce back guys and youngsters. Guys like Fitzgerald and Bailey and Drera and Encarnacion could be these guys are all really talented, but I'm not sure what they'll give you right away. I don't really think Verlander has a whole lot left. If anything, he's 42 years old, first ballot Hall of Famer, but not exactly sure what he has left for the former San Francisco Giants. So then you look at the bullpen. Ryan Walker had a breakout year last year. I like their bullpen with him. Tyler Rogers, Camilo Doval, and Lou Trevino. I think it's pretty good, especially in the back end. But I think they're a little bit overmatched in this division. And a lot of people thought last year, after the moves they made, they might get into the playoffs. Didn't really end up working out. And this year, again, I like them bringing Willie Adames. Verlander, who I don't think is going to really contribute, but on a one-year deal, I think it was worth a try. I don't mind them taking a shot on Lou Trevino before he had Tommy John. With the Yankees, he was a very good reliever for them. But I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs. They'll be a competitive team, just a little overmatched. In last place is the Colorado Rockies in the division. I don't need to say much there. The Rockies, they need to demote the Rockies to Double-A at this point. Because they have some talented players. Like Brenton Doyle had a really good year last year. Tovar, Ryan McMahon. Just like Chris Bryant, his body is just completely broken down. You're trying this again with Sam Hilliard. Why you trade Nolan Jones, I have no idea. 2 years ago showed some promise, had a lot of injuries last year. I don't know really why he did that. But so their lineup, the first half of it actually, like the first four actually looks pretty good. But the back half of the lineup is really ugly. The rotation is Herman Marquez, Kyle Freeland, who overall are pretty good, but they're also always hurt. Like Austin Gomber hasn't been great. Since Tala hasn't pitched much the last couple of years. And also pitching in Colorado is next to impossible because of the city of Colorado. And their bullpen is just yikers. Like their closer is probably Tyler Kinley. He's pretty good. I like Victor Vodnik. Other than that, but their bullpen's horrible. This is a horrible baseball team, horrible organization that doesn't care about the fans, and they're going to be last in their division. The only team in the National League that'll be worse than them is Miami Orange, most likely, because they are very, very bad. But now going to the American League side of things. In the East, I have the Boston Red Sox coming out. This team did a lot of nice things in the offseason. Obviously, you land Alex Bregman, a huge boost to your lineup. Getting a little bit older, but still a really good player. Still a guy that can give you 27, 20 homers, 70, 80 RBI. Still a great third baseman defensively. Like I said, he might be playing a little bit of second base as well. And then they make some upgrades in their rotation. You make a trade for Garrett Crochet. It looks like he's going to be a stud after a really good year last year. You bring in Walker Buehler. I like that prove-it deal. He looked really good in the playoffs. I think if he returns to form, he could be a stud. Patrick Sandoval's the guy you're going to see at some point. So they have some injuries to that rotation to start. Giolito, Bayo, and Connor Crawford are all hurt, but I don't think they'll be out too long. This team has some nice rotation depth. Tanner Hoke was really good last year. Richard Fitz is a youngster who pitched a little bit last year. And then probably looks like it'll be Quinn Priester as your fifth starter over Sean Newcomb to start the year. But at full strength, that rotation is really good. That lineup is really, really deep. And Roman Anthony, the league's top prospect, you're going to see him. So this Boston team, I think, is really good. Obviously, Rafael Devers is a stud. Wherever he's playing, he'll be in the lineup. Trevor Story, getting him back healthy. And guys like Willie Abreu, Casas. This is a really deep lineup. Rotation at full strength is very good. As for their bullpen, I think their bullpen's pretty good. Is it the weakest part of their team? Maybe you can make an argument, but so you bring in George Chapman, who's getting much older. He's 37, but still a solid reliever. Getting Liam Hendricks back is going to be a big help. Justin Slade, you got Garrett Whitlock, who's a guy that can give you multiple innings. Bernardino's same kind of thing. Zach Kelly. So this is a very good team. I do think they come out of that division. In second place, I actually have the Baltimore Orioles. So the Orioles did lose a couple of guys. You lose a big bat in Anthony Santander. You lose one of the league's best starting pitchers in Corbin Burns, which is definitely a big loss. But this is still a really good lineup. You bring in Tyler Anderson to replace Santander. He's a big power bat. Gunnar Henderson's going to start the year on the IL. Don't think he'll be out that long now. He's obviously a stud. You got guys like Rushman and Ryan Mountcastle, Cowser, Westbrook. This is so much young talent in that lineup. Like, we're going to try again with Jackson Holliday. He was the top prospect in baseball last year. I think he's got a chance to be a great player. That lineup could be absolutely amazing. Again, the rotation got some injuries. Grayson Rodriguez is hurt to start the year. Tyler Wells still out. Kyle Brave still out, but still. You've got Zach Eflin, who had a good year last year. Kremer's a pretty good pitcher. Trey Morton you bring in. He's at the very end of his career, but he can still eat some innings. I like Sugano. He's a big wild card. Sugano, you bring him over from overseas, but he's, I think, a really good arm. You also bring in Kyle Gibson, who will start the year in the minor leagues, but he's a veteran who's still pretty good. At full strength, I think this Orioles rotation is still really good. You'll see Grayson early-ish on for sure. I think we'll see Brace and Wells at some point as well. And it's a team, their starting pitching stuff is definitely going to be tested early on. But if they can just hold together for the first month or two, which I think they will, because I think they're going to score a lot of runs offensively, I think they'll be okay. I think this is still a really good team. Again, I wish they did a little more in the offseason with this young core. But also, their bullpen should be really good. You're getting back Felix Bautista, who's a filthy closer. You have Ynier Cano there. You still have Rafi Dominguez, Keegan Aiken, Gregory Soto was over there, so you have a really good bullpen as well. This is a really good team. I think they're back. They're still a playoff team. I actually have the Yankees in third place. This seems like one of those years for them. Just like what can go wrong will go wrong. They have so many injuries. Garrett Cole, obviously your ace, one of the league's best pitchers. It just had Tommy John, so he's out for the year. Lucas Heel was rookie of the year last year. He's gonna miss a couple of months with an injury. Stanton's got elbow problems. We don't know what's going on with him. He's hurt right now. Clark Schmidt is also hurt, so the rotation depth is really being tested. I get you bring in Max Fried, who's a great pitcher. Rodon is very good. Stroman, who I can't stand, he's to me overrated, but still a pretty good pitcher. Will Warren's the top prospect who will get a shot. But he got Carlos Carrasco in there. He had a strong spring, but this guy hasn't been good in 3 years. This guy's washed. In your lineup, look, obviously Aaron Judge in the regular season, everything else is amazing. And you bring in Cody Bellinger, who is getting older but still a good player. You know, Jazz Chisholm is a good player. You know, I think Olsen Wells, who's going to hit leadoff on day one. Really talented catcher. You'll see what we get out of Dominguez. Jason Dominguez, who could be a rookie of the year candidate. Like Volpe, great shortstop. His overall hasn't been a great hitter. You know, Oswaldo Cabrera hasn't been good so far. Ben Rice didn't look great last year. You know, I know they bring in Goldschmidt to play first base. He's declining. He's 37 years old. I don't know what they're gonna get out of him. So I don't think they're great offensively. Their rotation's got all sorts of injury concerns. And they have a very good bullpen. I mean, Clay Holmes he gave them fits, but overall his numbers weren't bad. You know, out of their bullpen. You bring in Devin Williams, which is a great addition as the closer. You also have Luke Weaver. Mark Lyer Jr. is pretty good. Tim Hilza is a dangerous left-hander. So you have a good bullpen. And so Aaron Boone is not a great manager. The Yankees have just been, every year you win 95 games with this $400 billion pair, but then you lose in the LCS. Last year you lose in the World Series. I just think they just have a ton of injuries. It seems like just one of most years where not a whole lot's going to go right for them. Then fourth place, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. Look, it's been rough times in Toronto. They missed on a lot of big free agents over the last couple of years. Obviously, you missed on Soto was here, but you do add Anthony Santander, who hit 44 homers last year. That lineup, obviously, Vladdy is obviously a stud. Like I say, you bring in Santander. The rest of that lineup really isn't that good to me. Bichette is a bounce back candidate. A lot of injuries last year. Before that, he was one of the league's best hitters, though. But like Kirk isn't a great hitter. We don't know what you're getting out of Will Wagner or Clement. Varsho, great outfielder, but not a good hitter. The rotation, I think, could be very good. Barrios is really good. Goldston wasn't great last year, but for several years have been really good. You got Chris Bassett over there, who's still solid. Bowden Friends, I think, could be a breakout candidate. I don't think Max Scherzer is going to give you a whole lot this year. I think he's washed, but on a one-year deal, it's worth a try. You'll get Alec Manoah back at some point as well. He was starting to kind of turn things back around last year before he had Tommy John. Their bullpen is just okay. Their closer, probably going to be Jeff Hoffman, who had a really good year last year. You have Chad Green, who there is good. Jaime Garcia, you bring him back, he's good. So this team, you would think, as what we've heard out of them with everything that happened the last couple of offseasons, they think they'll be terrible. They've gotten worse every year the last few years. Last year, really rough, 74 1 year, just a brutal season. I think they will be a little bit better. You're having Bo Bichette healthy. I think the rotation will be a little bit better. Adding Santander. So I think they'll be a little better. Both of them might be a little better. But that division is just evil. They're in the toughest division in baseball to me. And just, they're going to have a really tough schedule. So I don't think they'll make the playoff, but I think they will be a little bit better than they were last year. And last place is the Rays. They're a mess. They blew up a team traded them last year. They don't even have a home ballpark right now. They're playing in the Yankee spring training facility because of the tragedies in Tampa. Their stadium got damaged and won't be repaired for a year. I mean, there are some young pieces there in the lineup. I like Ian Diaz a lot. He's a great player. Christopher Morel is really talented. Junior Caminero. You bring in Ha-Sung Kim, who's a great shortstop. But a lot of youth. Shane McGlanahan's battling an arm injury right now. He's already had Tommy John twice, so I don't know what's going on with him. Rest of that rotation, you got Drew Rasmussen, Ryan Papois, Shane Baz is finally out there. Joe Boyle, you take a shot on. There's a lot of youth. This team is definitely in retooling and rebuilding phase. Obviously, this is a team that doesn't like to build up the payroll. They don't really have the same depth as they once did. I mean, in the bullpen, they don't really have your typical a closer, but the closer will be Pete Fairbanks, who's very good. Yes, some other relievers there, like Edwin Uceta, Garrett Clevenger, Kevin Kelly's pretty good. But this team is just, they don't have the same depth. They're very, very young. This is probably going to be a long year for them. And again, like I said, they're in a brutal division. American League Central, I got the Royals winning the division. They had a good year last year, kind of broke out, made the playoffs, even won a series. That pitching rotation is really good. Cole Reagan is a stud stuff. Lugo had a career last year. Michael Walker was really good. You bring back Michael Lorenzen, who was solid. So you got a really good rotation. I like the move to bring in Jonathan India. He's a good hitter. I think could do even better now with a fresh start. Salvador Perez is still a great catcher. Could still really sling it at the plate. MJ Melendez has got a lot of power. Bobby Witt's an incredible player. Pascatino's a power-hitting first baseman that you have. So I think this is a good team. That AL Central is very bad. It is not, does not have a ton of star powers. I don't think any team in that division is great. But I think the Royals will come out of it. And the bullpen, Lucas Craig was really good last year. You got Carlos Estevez, Angel Zerpa, John Schreiber. So they have a very good bullpen as well. I think this is a solid team. I think they are the best of that bunch in that division. Second place, I do have the Detroit Tigers. They made some nice moves in the offseason. I like to bring in Gleyber Torres, who's overall been a good hitter with the Yankees. Not a great defender. But, they give him a one-year deal. They bring it back Jack Flowers. They traded deadline last year. Bring him back. He's a very good starting pitcher. Had a kind of like a re-breakout last year. Alex Cobbin back in the rotation is a nice addition. That starting pitching rotation is a little deeper. Skubal is the reigning Cy Young. You have Flaherty. Casey Mize, who's a former number one pick, former stud in the makings, had a lot of injuries in recent years. You have him. Hopefully get Matt Manning at some point. Reese Olson's a talented young starter. I don't know how much offense they're going to get. I mean, a lot of these guys step up in the playoff, but you're expecting, look, I think Riley Green's really good. Jace Jung's a top prospect, but you need guys like Colt Keefe and Kerry Carpenter and Trey Sweeney to really step up. And they're just counting on a lot of youngsters that haven't shown a whole lot outside that one little run last year. So I think they're still a year away. Getting Matt Vierling back will help. He's hurt to start the year. You'll have him at some point. That will help. But I just think offensively, I still need some more firepower. And look, that bullpen is very good. We saw it in the postseason. Adrian Hinch is a really good manager. That bullpen, Jackson Joe will definitely be a factor this year as well. Jason Foley is a great closer. You got guys like Will Vast, Tommy Kahnle, John Brebbia. Kenta Maeda can give you some length, but I think the Tigers are still trivia a year away. Cleveland Guardians, I haven't finished in third. They're going to regress. You downgrade it first with Carlos Santana for the third time. He's still a solid middle of the order guy, but not as good as Josh Naylor. Now you get rid of Eli Morgan in your bullpen, which is a loss. Only early PC where we had outside that was Luis Ortiz to your rotation. Offensively, outside of J-Rom's obviously an amazing player. Stephen Kwan was, I think, won the batting title last year. Lane Thomas is pretty good. You have a lot of young stuff that you need Monzard to take a step forward. Big Christmas, we were introduced to him in the playoffs. John, what's his name? John Quesky Noel. He's got a ton of power, but kind of like a home runner or nothing guy. And then in the bottom three is Bo Naylor, Gabriel Arias, and Brian Rasho in their lineup. That's really bad. The rotation, Tanner Bibby's really good. He's got a 5-year extension worth $48 million. Ortiz is kind of a wild card. We'll see what they get out of him. I like Gavin Williams. Tristan McKenzie hasn't really put it all together yet. Not sure if he ever will. Same thing for Ben Lively. They'll get Shambier back probably around the summertime. A former Cy Young Award winner who didn't pitch really much at all because of Tommy John. John Means, the guy who's a former Rookie of the Year in Baltimore, has had a ton of injuries. They'll get him at some point. If he's healthy, he could be an addition to their rotation. Their bullpen is absolutely stupendous. They have one of the best bullpens in all baseball. You saw it in the playoffs when they run to the ALCS. Clase is disgusting, at least in the regular season. Then you guys like Cade Smith, Hunter Gaddis. You bring in Paul Sewald as well. So they should have some pretty solid pitching, but I don't think they have enough offense. In fourth place are the Minnesota Twins. Twins are still irrelevant, first of all. Now, offensively, Buxton's great, but he's always hurt. Correa's a good player. Other than that, you're taking a chance on Ty France, who had a breakout year 3 years ago, then felt the face of the earth, was flat out cut last year by the Mariners. You have some, you need guys like Royce Lewis is never healthy. And need a bunch of these guys like Jose Miranda and Matt Waller and Trevor Lanner to really step up. The rotation's got some potential. Joe Ryan's got really good stuff. Bailey Ober's pretty good. Pablo Lopez is solid. Simeon Wood Richardson. This guy, he's a guy, he came up with the Mets. He traded them for Marcus Stroman, never really turned into anything. He was a little bit better last year. You know, and to me, their bullpen just okay. This is a very mediocre team. They are not in a good division, which will help them. But this team, to me, is the definition of mediocre. Joan Duran's a very fiery closer. You got some other guys there like Griffin Jacks, Cole Sands, Louis Varland. But this is just a very mediocre team. They're boring as hell. No one's going to really pay attention to them. They'll win 83 games and compete, but I don't expect much more than that. The White Sox are in last place. This team's a joke. So Brandon Drury, who was an all-star 2 years ago, hit .410 in spring training for them, looking to have a bounce-back season, and they cut him. They released him. Not even trade him for a prospect. They released him. What are they doing? They have one of the worst lines that I've ever seen. Outside of Luis Robert, who's great, but he's never healthy. Andrew Vaughn's a power-hitting first baseman. And then it's Andrew Benintendi, who's fallen off the face of the earth. Of course, Montgomery is an exciting rookie. You get him in the Crochet trade. McCourty's awful. Austin Slater isn't great. Then Brian Ramos and Miguel Vargas are 8 and 9. Vargas is still young. You never know, but hadn't shown anything yet. Brian Ramos is very unproven. Their ace is Martin Perez, whose ERA is like, 4.8 for his career, and he's at the end of his career. Rest of the rotation is Jonathan Cannon, Sean Burke, Bryce Wilson, who's a failed prospect. This team is vile. Is vilely bad. Their bullpen might have been the worst bullpen I've ever seen last year, and it isn't much better. Maybe Mike Clevenger, who might close for them for some reason, gives them something. You have Mike Vasil, a failed prospect with the Mets. You have Penn Murphy over there. This team is beyond horrible. Will they win 41 games again? I mean, you can't get any worse, but I don't think they're that much better. They might win 50-something games, but this is a team that's last year had 121 losses, most ever. Maybe not that many, but they'll still lose 110 games for sure. This team is beyond bad still. American League West, really interesting division. I still think the Astros win the division. I get you lose Bregman in your lineup, and that's a huge piece. You lose a big bat and the Gold Glove third baseman. You lose another huge bat in Kyle Tucker. You lose a really good reliever in Ryan Presley. But look, Jose Altuve is still there. You bring in Christian Walker, who's a power bat and a Gold Glove at first base. You bring in Isaac Paredes. You get him in the Tucker trade. He is a very good player. Jordan Alvarez is a stud. Pena's pretty good. In the year Diaz had a good year last year. Again, 7, 8, 9 that lineup is Mauricio Dubon, Jake Myers, and Chess McCormick. It's not great. This team is really good defensively. You still have 1 through 6 is still really good in that lineup. The rotation, right now it's Framer Valdez, Ronel Blanco, Hunter Brown, Spencer Arrighetti, and Hunter Wisniewski. Valdez is a stud. Ronel Blanco, Hunter Brown, 2 talented young arms. Arrighetti is kind of unproven, as is Wisniewski. Pitched a little bit for the Cubs the last couple of years. Got him as well for, I think, for Kyle Tucker. He's kind of unproven, kind of a swingman. But remember, you have a lot of guys who are hurt right now. We're going to be coming back. You're going to have Christian Javier back at some point. Same thing with Luis Garcia. Thanks to McCullers, we haven't seen in the last 2 years. You're going to get him at some point. Even JP France, the rotation looks really thin right now. Reinforcements are coming. I think their starting pitching is going to hold up. They are still good offensively. That bullpen, you still have Josh Hader, who started off really bad last year, but finished basically status quo. But they give up a big hit in the playoffs. Look, this guy, when he's healthy, is nasty. You still have Brian Abreu. So you have Steven Oker, Rafael Montero there. So this team is not what they once were. Their window is basically closed. But a division that's not as strong as it kind of seems. You have probably 3 really competitive teams, but neither of them are really, I would say, a great team. I think Houston, just with their experience, will still come out of that division for sure. And then in Seattle, I have them in second place. It's a shame because their pitching is amazing. Luis Castillo is a stud. George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu. That rotation is insane. The bullpen over there is also very good. They may have the best pitching staff, this rotation bullpen put together in all of baseball. In that bullpen, you got Andres Munoz, who's nasty. Colin Snow, Gregory Santos, Taro Salcedo, Gabe Spire. But their line just isn't good. It just simply isn't. Victor Robles, from our failed top prospect, did play well down the stretch. You ended up extending him. Julio Rodriguez is a great cop. Kyle Robbie's got a lot of power. As does Luke Raley. But then, Arozarena Was a little better after getting traded to Seattle, but overall had a really off year last year. Mitch Garver got a lot of power, but really nothing else. Jorge Polanco hasn't been good in a while. J.P. Crawford's on a great hitter, and then Dylan Moore finishes at your lineup. He isn't great. They just don't have enough hitting. Simple as that. It's a shame because they have a lot of really good young pitching, but they're cheap as hell, and that's going to cost them. And then Texas Rangers, they have a lot of talented hitting. Obviously, Seager's great. Semion's great. You got Adolis Garcia's great. You bring in Jake Berger, who's got a lot of power. Jack Pearson's a guy who, I don't think he's not going to hit against the Rays, but when he does, he's going to kill him. Wyatt Langford, Jace Jung, and Lee Tavares could all make impacts. They have a lot of talented hitting. The rotation just has so many injury concerns. I like Nathan Eovaldi. Look, I think Jacob deGrom is still really good, but I don't know. Are you going to get him for 20 starts, 10 starts? I don't know. John Gray's pretty good. After that, you're laying on Tyler Mahle. And then you're hoping Kumar Rocker's arm can stand together along with Dane Dunning, who hasn't really figured it out yet. Their bullpen leaves a lot to be desired to me. Their closer looks like to be Chris Martin. Outside of that, it's Robert Garcia and Luke Jackson. It kind of goes downhill from there. So I just don't think they have the pitching right now. But in fourth place, I think the A's finish in fourth place. They have some nice things in the offseason. You had G. Urshela, who's a great third baseman, can hit a little bit. You add Luis Severino and Jeffrey Springs to the rotation. Springs, if healthy, is really good. Sevy had a good year last year. Again, they got some nice young players. You extend Lawrence Butler, who was great last year. You have J.J. Bodé starting to put it together. Shaywin Jalliers hasn't really put it together yet, but still really talented. Brent Rooker is a stud. Zach Galoff hit 17 homers last year. Urshela's a great defender. You add. Seth Brown's got some power. The rotation might actually not be that bad. Sevy had a good year last year, a resurgent year last year with the Mets. Springs, if he's healthy. J.P. Sears, you got him in the Montas trade a couple of years ago. Mitch Spence and J.T. Jin are talented. So, the rotation, it's really young. A lot of unproven guys. But it actually might not be that bad. Their bullpen, outside of Mason Miller, doesn't look great. I mean, Mason Miller is electric, but outside of that, you have Jose Leclerc you bring in. I like that move. Hogan Harris, first of all, incredible name. and then he's a guy who can throw hard. So, look, this is still not a good team. They were a tiny better last year. I think they'll get a smidge better again. Last year, they went from a team we thought last year, they're going to lose 110, 120 games last year. They're an organization's a joke. Again, they're playing in Sacramento. It's not ideal. But I don't think they'll be good, but they won't be, embarrassing. They'll be probably they were last year, 72, 73 wins, that kind of thing. And the last place out of the Angels, this team is just old. Anthony Rendon is hurt again. I don't know if he's even going to play this year. Trout's still amazing, but he's always hurt. Just look at how many over-the-hill old guys they have. Trout, who's not over the hill, but still older. Nobody's hurt. Jorge Soler, Charles Darno, Yoel Moncada. They just cut Mickey Moniak, who had a rough spring. Yusei Kikuchi, Kyle Heinrich. This team is ancient. I mean, the lineup on paper isn't horrible. Tyler Ward's very good. No one Chanel's good. But Darnold's past his prime. The back half of that lineup is Kevin Newman, Luis Rengifo. They have a lot of injury concerns. Soler isn't the same. The rotation, Kikuchi's pretty good, but he's not an ace. Tell Anderson's pretty good. This team's going to be really bad. Their bullpen isn't anything that great. Looking at their closer, is Kenley Jansen, who's still good, even at 37, going on 38, but he's going to be traded at the deadline. Then after that, it's Brock Burke. You're taking a chance on Ian Anderson, Jose Quijada. So this team is really bad. They're old, over the hill. They're a mess as an organization, and they also will be another long year for the Angels. Now for my playoff predictions. Nationally, the top three heats will be the Dodgers, Mets, and the Brewers. My three wildcards, I think, are Arizona, San Diego, and Philadelphia. National League is much deeper than the American League, so I could see some other teams kind of squeaking their way in there. Those are my three wild cards. American League, I think that the top three teams will be, for comes to division winners, will be Boston, Kansas City, and Houston. My three wild cards, I got Baltimore. I still think that's a good team. I think I'm going to flip-flop Seattle and Texas when I just did the preview. Texas, I have them finishing ahead of Seattle. I have them making the playoffs. I get their pitching isn't great, but if they can get anything out of Jacob deGrom, I think they'll be really special. I think offensively they're going to be amazing. And it's a team, if they can make some moves at the trade line on the pitching side, I think they'll be okay. I do have the Yankees sneaking in. I don't think their lineup leaves a lot to be desired, but hopefully get Stanton back at some point. They probably will, but you never know. And American League is just is pretty weak, so I think they will end up sneaking in. And then the World Series, I have the Dodgers against the. I actually was going to decide to surprise myself. I'm going to have the Baltimore Orioles going to the World Series. I think the Dodgers do go back. They're back. Unfortunately, their team is just too stacked for anyone to compete with. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long.